Righto, welcome back to the Maximum Cricket Podcast, and holy shit, CSK are champions of the IPL for the 17th time. We called it from day one. I may have wrote them off after one game, but what do I know? They've actually won. Pyranha Athlete Devon Conway was the man of the match, and he also said it was the greatest win of his career. What does that mean for a Caps fan? We discussed winners and losers of the IPL, who overperformed and who did not. On Snack Draft this week, it's actually cricket related for once. Things you consume on the day of a cricket match. England begin their warm-up to the Ashes with an actual test match against Ireland. This is where we look to turn around our horrendous form in the Pyranha Picks by smashing the under on Zak Crawley total runs. My name is Munter, and we have Jacko and Lugsy with us on episode 53. This is brought to you by Pyranha Grip Socks, the best socks in the world. Just ask Devon Conway.
It's a yes bank maximum, the first of this contest. Oh, that is brilliant. It's a hero maximum. On the ground, down the ground, another hero maximum.
Lugsy, really good to have you back on board. I believe you would like to rehash some of that commentary takes from last week. We obviously did a commentary draft with me and Jacko, because I would love to touch on why, in the biggest moment in the IPL season, we have Kevin Pietersen calling the shots. Fair to say he wouldn't make your dream combox, Lugsy, because he's not making mine.
I get the feeling we weren't going to rehash this, and then you've just got a bone to pick with KP, and you've decided, we'll run this fig. We'll get my thoughts from about a year ago. He isn't in my top three, no. I actually thought you boys nailed it, really. I think there's a clear, for us anyway, there's a clear, Smithy's one. Bumble was a great pick from Jacko, huge Bumble fan. Kerry O'Keefe, obviously, yourself, Munter. I don't know how Smithy, Bumble and Kerry would go together.
Not a lot of cricket talk.
I think, we could pass probably a session of cricket without them realising it's happened, just because there'd be too much laughs, but I'd love to see it. One big miss, I think, from you boys, I do love Howie. I think Howie's becoming really gun at this. And I think he'll become a voice for this sort of next generation going forward. Bit of a staple of the Australian summer. I thought, if we're gonna be 2023, I think Isha probably would slide in there somewhere.
She's probably the best female commentator.
Without a long distance. Yeah, by a long distance.
Yeah, I think Howie and Ponting are probably the big ones left off.
Yeah, Punter. Yeah, just brings a real big bit of knowledge there, doesn't it? I tell you what I love. I don't always love a West Indian team touring, but I do love a couple of their commentators. Sort of Michael Holden, getting him in the box, and he's a big part of the English summer as well. And I always thought they just bring a bit of a flair and just a real nice tone to the commentary box. So
yeah, lovely accent to listen to for the day.
Someone DM'd me saying Russell Arnold was very good when he came to our shores. He's quite a good commentator. I'll quite enjoy when Sri Lanka come to our shores for that.
Yeah, not for the cricket though. I shouldn't say that, because that was actually
one of the greatest tests ever.
Yeah, no, it was. That actually turned out to be a really good summer led by their commentary. Did anyone? I don't know if anyone's familiar. Did anyone listen to much Brian Waddle? He was the
good for radio.
He was a classic on the radio. If you grew up in those days of listening to Girk on the radio, he was pretty much the voice of the radio and wasn't bad.
Different technique for the radio sort of jobs. You've obviously got to talk a lot more, a bit more descriptive. TV, you don't have to talk as much.
It's where probably Kerry and that would just lack a wee bit. Probably wouldn't paint a great picture of the game itself.
For sure.
But it's a great topic of convo, I reckon. You don't realise until you have a bad commentator. You don't really realise how good they all are, how important it is.
Oh, 100%. And I was thinking maybe down the road we could do a best commentary lines, just the actual line, your barest and margins, your Graham Elliott Supermans, can remember the name, I think. So that'd be nice to do a draft one of them.
Build the man a statue.
Build the man a statue. That is up there, yeah. So that could be something.
What about Hairy Jav just getting yelled repeatedly by the ACC?
Jav. Jason Hoyt's commentating for that when he hits that six in the standards all time.
I had another one here, like when Williamson hit Cummins for that six in the World Cup, and Smithy's just giving it back at Warney because they've been going, how'd you like that one, Warney, or something?
I mean, that whole
back and
Warney
forth.
v. Yeah, that's honestly one of the great sort of hour or twos of commentary ever.
Yeah, for sure. Righto, speaking of like fantastic hours of cricket, we will review the IPL final before we get to our winners and losers. As I mentioned at the top, the IPL is over for another year. It's probably the first IPL that we've really got into, and I must say it's a hell of a tournament. And I know sometimes the IPL has some rough connotations attached to it. You got the World Cricket ending and whatnot, but in a vacuum, the IPL was a hell of a spectacle. The finals gone into 3 days, rained out the first day, second day rain delay. The final ball was bowled at like 2 a.m. and yet we've got 100,000 people cheering CSK on for their fifth title in 15 years. Gujarat, who are on their way to becoming the new CSK, they obviously won the tournament last year, top qualifier this year. They made 214, Sundarazan making 90-odd. He's a young pup, the highest score in a final. You'll take that. Heavens opened up for a couple of hours, rain stops. You think the BCCI have sort of enough money in the bank to sort of sort out drainage and then equipment to soak up the outfield, but no, they've got guys with sponges and hair dryers trying to soak up the outfield, which is something that you might not, you wouldn't see at club level because it would take a rained off game for a start.
We're losing Indian sponsorship by the second here, Matthew.
It's getting there. It's getting there. So
when the plane here.
So by the time they get on there, you've got CSK. They need 171 off 15, which is around 11 and over. Wet ground, probably favourites at that point. Definitely favourites when Conway and Gaikwad get off to a fast start. 70 odd for none off 6. The first twist was young left arm leg spinner Noor Ahmed dismissing Gaikwad and Conway in the same over. Noor ended up with 2 for 17 off 3. In an incredible spell considering the conditions and the magnitude. Not often Rashid Khan isn't the best spinner, let alone the best Afghanistan spinner. This put the brakes on CSK, and with 20 balls to go, they need 50 runs, which is about 15 and over. Dubé hits Rashid Khan for 2 bombs to leave the equation at 38 off 18. Game on again. Raidu, in his last ever IPL game, hits Mohit Sharma for 3 consecutive boundaries to put CSK back on top, 22 off 15, easy game. The next twist, Raidu skies the next one, outwalks MS Dhoni to a raucous crowd. The greatest chaser in history of the game, maybe. You couldn't possibly have a more qualified person walking out to bat than Dhoni at that point. Well, he's out first ball. So suddenly CSK are in trouble again. Mohammad Shami bowls a fantastic second to last over, only conceding 8 runs. That leaves CSK needing 14 off 6 last over. In his previous over, Mohit bowled 3 slow balls, and because of that wetness, it just skidded on. They got pumped. So because of this, he really only had one option, the Yorker. And he nailed 4 of them in a row to be 1 good ball away from being back-to-back champions. This was 10 off 2 at this point. We said off air that how often do you lose a game needing 10 off 2? I'd say 99 times out of 100 you're winning that. Mohit misses his length for the first time that over. Jadeja pounced 6 down the ground, 4 off 1. It's funny how you can just nail something like a Yorker 4 times in a row. You miss it once and then suddenly you got a bit of self-doubt. Starts to creep in. Last ball. The field is deep square, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, deep cover is back. So he has to be full and straight, but not too straight because final leg is up. Unfortunately, that's what happened. Mohit missed his line. Jadeja got a bit of bat on it. It raced away to final leg boundary for an incredible victory for CSK. The old the old dogs of CSK have a little bit of life. Clearly the two best teams going at it. Thankfully, none of us wrote off CSK too early. Boys, what did you make of the final? Hell of a finish.
Yeah, unbelievable, really. I think as we sort of said, I probably was checking into it during the routine getting ready this morning, and it was sort of, geez, 170 off 15 felt way harder than 215 off 20 for some reason. But that's what they were there, and I sort of checked in and was like, they're well off, they won't get there. And then, yeah, you sort of check back and, they're a sniff again, and then, they're written off. And then, yeah, like in the car, the message came through, they got 6 and they needed 4 off the last ball, when you just sort of edge of your seat stuff. So great end to what's really been a competitive and a really, really good tournament.
Yeah, what a crazy way to finish a tournament. Probably one of the better tournaments ever in the IPL. It's an odd sort of but yet fun way to follow. Certainly not the best way. The best way is watching it live, but getting the odd message through really grips you. I was at work at the time, and I'm sort of getting a wee message through and trying to check my phone while doing other things, and it sort of gets the drama building. So it's quite a fun way to follow, and then obviously going home and watching the highlight package. Incredible stuff. Like
especially because the messages are never really like, they're not commentating, are they? It's just like, oh fuck, can you believe that? Or holy shit! Like,
a lot of suspense, a lot of suspense.
Yeah. It really leaves you hanging. But it's good stuff, and it's it's going to be harder and harder, because the talent's getting more and more to argue with the actual product of the IPL. It's pretty insane. Like, it is the best in world cricket all under one roof, and it's pretty amazing to watch. So to get a final that actually led up to it, bit of rain just to add some real drama to it as well, really draw out the final. Just pretty incredible.
Unbelievable. And the main sort of story from it is a guy that got a golden duck. MS Dhoni apparently not retiring, and he basically said in his aftermatch speech that it's his gift back to the fans that he's gonna play again, which is quite something. Like, you're welcome. I'm gonna go round again.
There's not many guys that could sort of get away with saying that, but
how much does that first baller play into that? Like, if he guides them home there, and is not out at the end, whatever that stupid MS stat is, no shit, he wins most of the time, he's not out. If he wins that, he's done, isn't he?
I think, to be fair, if you did see his dismissal, he smoked it straight to cover, and if that is an inch either side, that's 4. And I think you're right, Jacko. That's coming home with Dhoni there. Like, I don't think he's not losing it from there. That's for sure. But it's quite incredible how many sort of chasers, like when you think that they can't get it, they're chasing it in the IPL. I feel like it's happening more and more. Like 50 off 20, like I said before, is, it's like 15 and over.
Well, 50 off 20 turned into 38 off 18, like, in 10 seconds. And that's the thing we were talking about. It's like, if you need to defend 12 off 3, it seems like, 3-4s, that's, they're not going to be much of a chance there. But you're like, these guys are so good, you miss your length slightly, he's probably going to get one bomb away, right? So then it's only 6 off 2. And then it just feels like these guys can just chase anything. And unless you're like hitting your mark 6 out of 6, the margin for error is so small that you just sort of always favour the batting side now.
Well, it's like that last over where, like, Mohit is defending 14, and he hits his length. He hits his line and length 4 times out of 6. So that's very good odds. You'd sort of take that. You'd think he should be able to defend 14, but the 2 balls he misses, that's 10 runs, and then suddenly it's just over. Like, the margin for error is just so small.
And I mean, as you said, if you hit 4 out of 6, you'll be like, that's going to be us home, like, celebrating. But yeah, I mean, no fun league, bit of a kicker not to have that man there in that sort of stage. So if you're going full and straight, that's where they're going to hit it if they miss it, sort of thing. So, maybe some field placement stuff, but a hell of a win by Chennai.
Unbelievable. Right, okay, shall we do some winners and losers? I guess our plan to wrap up the IPL season is we thought we'd take stock of some players that sort of boosted their trade value and also players that maybe underperformed their price tags or expectations, I guess. The winners and losers of the IPL 2023, if you will. Boys, I'll rattle off some names and some stats of our winners. We'll do them first. And you guys let me know who stands out first, and we'll start with them. So, MVP of the tournament, Shubman Gill. His price tag is $1.6 million. I should preface that I was doing a little bit of research here, where the salary cap is about 19 million New Zealand dollars. Okay, so keep that in mind for some of these price tags. So Shubman Gill, 1.6 million. The most runs in this year's IPL, the second most in an IPL ever. Average of 59, 158. Also, like massive thirst trap photo. KKR let him go. In the history of KKR cricket, they've got 200s, while Gill had 3 in 4 games. That's up there. That's going to be tough to beat. We've got Faf du Plessis, 1.4 million. 14 innings, 738 runs at 56, 850s. The man is 38 years old. I'm gonna put Virat Kohli on this list at 2.9 million, which is it's up there, but 639 runs at 53. Awesome back-to-back hundreds to finish the season. Unlucky not to get the job done. Young Cameron Green at 3.5 million. It's big for us. 452 runs at 50, a 47 ball 100. I've got Rinku Singh. Speaking of massive chases, he's the man that hit 5 sixes and 5 balls to chase down 29. 474 runs at 60. He's only being paid 90,000.
That's unreal.
That is quite cheap. Jaiswal at $800,000. Man's only 21 years old. 625 runs at 48. Fastest 50 in the IPL history at 13. And the last one, Devon Conway at $200,000. 625 runs at 52. 650s. Boys, take it wherever you want to head.
Just some phenomenal batting. I don't know if there's ever been this many hundreds in an IPL.
Longer IPL, but yeah.
Yeah, longer, but I'm basing the stat off absolutely nothing, but
that's how we like to do it.
It feels like there's way more tons.
I know what you mean, yeah.
It feels like every day or second day, it's like, fuck, this guy's got 100 off this many, or this guy's got another 100, and all right, Cam Green's got his, and Kohli's back to back, and Gill's 3 and 4 days. So it just seems to be like, I think hundreds are the winner on the day. So batters in general have to be.
I was actually going to take it sort of that point of view as well. Like the biggest winner has been the IPL in general. I think. As I said, if I was a Bill Simmons type researcher, I'd tell you about the best sort of 10-day stretches in IPL history. But I haven't done that research. But from the 18th of May, I rattled off a few of those games. 18th of May, Livingston gets a 94 runs off 48 nuts. And then I was looking for the next day, Kohli gets a ton. The 2 days later, Cam Green gets a ton. They have the Kohli versus Gill game. Yeah, that's exactly. There's a 10-day stretch from 18th of May to this final wrapping up. That has got to be there can't be a better 10 days of IPL cricket in history.
No.
It's numerous tons, as Jacko said. Under individual players, I guess, Gill's obviously the massive winner. It's hard to.
That's for the thirst trap too, not the run.
He's posted it with on all socials, and he's posted it half of it in Hindi and half of it in English, just to make sure everyone knows.
Everyone,
It's one of the great snaps.
I mean,
I guess I would say the biggest winner in terms of like who's going to make potentially, if we're talking this from a money point of view, I guess biggest winner is, you can take it however you want in terms of who's been worth their money or who's going to make a massive boost in what they're going to make going forward. So I dare say the Kiwi Conway is probably right up there in terms of guys who are actually going to make a massive jump in money. So he'd be clearly one of the biggest winners in terms of that.
Yeah, for sure. If we want to talk about Conway, I mean, I've got here's some of his innings, some of his important innings. Obviously tonight you've got 47 off 25. You've got
really just on that, snuck a man of the match in there, didn't he? With a wee 47, that's not bad.
Yeah, take that. Is that like a Finals MVP in the NBA? Like, is that like, when we're talking legacy stuff? Does that sort of?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the resume.
Yeah, does that?
When you get someone getting like an unreal 90 and you just sneak in with a wee 47, but your team wins, that's a wee job done.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, and you got that innings, you've got an 87 off 52, 92 off 52, 44 off 42, 56 off 40. Like, the strike rate as a whole doesn't quite tell the whole story, because it's Conway's ability to sort of change the tempo of the innings depending on the situation, the conditions. Like, there's probably a handful of guys in world cricket worldwide that actually have the ability to shift those gears. Like someone like Sky, like as good as he is, and he is destructive, he's got one gear, it's fifth gear all the time. Some guys, they'll play, like, you know, there's issues with like KR Rahul, he's struggling to get out of that first gear. Conway just sort of assesses those conditions and plays accordingly, which is pretty incredible considering it's his second IPL season. Like, he must be, I don't know, like, he must be really smart, just able to pick the conditions well. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's a good chance that he gets paid a lot.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like, there's a real level-headedness to him, like maturity to his batting. Like to just perform in those massive crowds and seem like sort of, very, as I say, level-headed about it all. And as you say, with like how his game transfers as well, like opening the batting in Test cricket and just looking quite natural there as well.
Oh, 100%.
Massively, yeah.
Should we?
I mean, like...
Oh, you go, Jacko.
For him... Oh, so, like, today's price is not yesterday's price, is it, for him? Like, he is going to be paid so much. Like, I think, like, looking at some of those top guys, they're like $2,000-3,000 a run. And CSK have got him at like $300 a run. Like, it's unbelievable stuff. So,
it's hard to know.
His bank account is going up.
It's hard to know, like, because we obviously sort of follow basketball a bit in terms of like what they're expecting. Like, what are the stakes for these guys when they at their price points? It'd be interesting to actually get in there and work out, like, if you're on $2 million season, are they like, right, our expectation is you're going to be one of the top 2 or 3 players in this whole tournament, you're going to win us a title? Or are they thinking like,
100%.
Okay, but are they thinking like, okay, Crawley, we're going to sign you, we're willing to pay you a bit of extra because this is just eyeballs for us? Like,
yeah,
Crawley's a little bit of like legacy stuff as well. Like, it's a bit of that. It's a bit of like that Kobe Bryant being at the Lakers for years. Like, Crawley is RCB.
100%.
He kind of is RCB. Like,
we'll get into the losers though, because that money could be costing them.
Who, RCB?
Yeah.
Let's. Do you want?
I dare say Matt Hunter's willing to go on a wee victory lap here.
We've got some losers here, but before we do, there's a couple of things I want to touch on with the winners, and I want to start with Sherman Gill, because I feel like we could sort of tuck into that a little bit more. My first question for you guys: is there anyone more valuable in world cricket right now than Gill?
Yeah, it's interesting because you probably say no, but there's a chance he might not play for India if Rohit's going to play.
Nah, he'll open because KL Rahul's not there.
Yeah, that's true. So I forgot KL was gone, but like,
it wasn't that long ago that it was a discussion.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that he, like, probably pre this IPL, there was some, like, real hesitancy sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, probably the only other bloke that you could say would be like a Conway, where he's like at 3 formats for his country, doing runs on the biggest stage. Like, he's potentially the only argument.
I've got a list for you. I've got a list for you if you if I want to throw it out there. Okay, and it
sounds like you do.
And it goes with this question: if franchise cricket became all formats, which it might, if the Saudis take over, and you had to pick one player to start your franchise out of the following, you got to take into account age and that sort of stuff. I've got Shubman Gill at 23. I've got Cam Green, also 23. Shaheen Afridi, 23, apparently. Rashid Khan, 24, which is
apparently.
It's a big apparently. And a rogue one here, Babar Azam, who's 28, so a little older, but more in his prime. Who goes one?
For
you,
I'd go for me. It's a toss up between Gill and Cam Green.
Yeah, same.
And that's just purely going to come down to how much do you want to get out of your first pick? Do you want that sort of next transcendent batting talent, or do you want like potentially one of the next great all rounders? So yeah, splitting hairs between those two for me personally, but yeah. The next tier below is not far off, and you could probably make an argument for most of them.
I'm the same. I'll go Gill 1. If we're factoring everything in, like just being an Indian player, going to be massive, like in terms of value. They've got the biggest market. He's going to be potentially their biggest superstar in 2 to 3 years, if not getting there already based on this IPL. Cam Green, few injury woes. Potentially you got to factor in if you're starting your franchise with him. So I would go Gill. Cam Green would be the one I'd want to go with, a real sexy sort of a pick, because he could just be a real superstar, and it's just fun to have a guy that can do both, that can absolutely smoke it and bolt gas. So he'd be your sexy pick for me, but I would go Gill.
I mean, if we're talking sexy, there's not many people sexier than Shubman Gill. We are talking he's a superstar. He's marketable as well. Like, we're talking about we are selling all sorts of stuff. This is like Cowley wrapped up with like the new age Cowley. Like, imagine if Cowley was like coming to the scene. He's got thirst trap photos.
We only fans going on.
Yeah, and it's just he's so good on the eye. Like when you watch him bat, like he's quite destructive. And I always dominant batsmen. I don't know. I just feel like they can sort of like lift a team more than a
bums and seats, aren't they? Too?
Bums and seats. They kind of I don't know.
That's where the game's going as well.
It does feel that way. It does feel that way.
You can't.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, as important as having an amazing death bowler and that sort of thing, it's like there's only so much they can do. Like, you can bowl 4 out of 6 good, as we've seen today, and you're still on the losing end.
It's too much weighted to the batsman at the moment, where even someone like Rashid Khan, as good as he is, he's gone at 14s today. Like a bad, he has one bad game, and it's like he's basically non-existent. So, speaking of that, should we move on to the losers?
If we could touch on one last winner, I think someone did actually in the first podcast pick Gill the top scorer in this tournament.
Oh, we're talking victory laps, are we? Because
I've got a couple.
Laps, are we? I mean, there's 54 bad picks from me this IPL, but I will stick with that one from the start.
Considering our pick percentage, it's I don't know if we should be sort of doing too many victory laps, but we will. So yeah, well done, Lugsy, for picking one of the most obvious picks as top
unknown.
run scorer.
I just saw something in the fella that no one else could see. The unknown Gill.
Tell what, Lugsy, hot tip for England, Ireland. He's actually going England to win that game. So there you go. We victory lap after that game. Right. Oh, okay. So I'll rattle off some losers, and feel free to throw some more in if you want. Again, salary cap 19 mil. Harry Brook at 2.6 mil. 11 innings, 190 runs at 21. 100 in that. Rohit Sharma at 3.2 million. Legacy stuff though.
Legacy, yeah, definitely. He is Mumbai.
Yeah, he is Mumbai. 332 runs at 20.
Could he possibly be Mumbai for just $1 million less maybe next time? Is that on the card?
Yeah. Like when Kobe took the max when he was like 19 and couldn't do much. Can we build a team around you? Like, come on. Sam Curran, 3.7 million, the most expensive player in IPL history.
I get the feeling we may talk more about him.
To be fair, I'll give him a little bit of credit. With the bat, 276 runs at 27, strike at 136. That's handy. 10 wickets at 49 with an economy rate of 10.2.
Great.
Another one here, which is probably an underperform by his standards, I think. Joss Butler at 2 mil. 392 runs at 28. Adrian Markram from Sunrisers. He's the captain this year. 560,000, 248 runs at 22. And I've got Mitchell Marsh, who I didn't write down how much they cost, so never mind. But 9 innings, 128 runs at 14. Which is quite low considering he was player of a final in a T20 World Cup not that long ago. So, boys, I know who I want to touch on, but who do you want to touch on?
We'll get to Sam Curran in a minute. But, no, I think probably like RCB have got to be on this list in general.
Yep.
I mean, they had
Mike Hesson.
Yeah, they had Faf, they had Virat, and they had Glenn Maxwell thrown in there as like 3 unbelievable run scorers, all in form. And maybe they are paying too much to Crawley and whatnot, because I think the highest wicket taker was 18th on the table. They obviously just didn't have the bowling to back up all those runs. So while it is becoming a batting league, if you're scoring all those runs but you can't defend them, they're going to do you no good. And tough to call a team that made the final and played it over 3 days a loser, but the Gujarat bowlers, I mean, they've gone in the top 3 wicket takers in the tournament and couldn't defend 170 or 15 overs. That's really got a sting. Going in as a 1 seed like that and getting bounced by.
Look, I was going to say, look, it's been a damn tough day for the Titans.
It's funny finished the game at 2 a.m. and just
wake up to getting slated on TMC.
Reminding them that they couldn't defend the total.
Not like a real loser, but you've got to be like going in with the 3 best bowlers in the comp and then not getting the job done is pretty tough.
Well, so. Just on your RCB sort of take, it's a fair point because it's probably on Mike Hesson or whoever picks their side, but the way they construct their roster doesn't feel balanced. Like, it's very top-heavy, and they've got, obviously, Maxwell's batting higher up. He's at 3. I will note that, obviously, Hazelwood was injured, Topley was injured, which doesn't help their bowling. And also, an underperformer is Dinesh Karthik, who lit it up last year. He only averaged 11 this year, so probably should have added him. So that they didn't get their finisher, or they didn't have much of a middle order. And they were in that bidding war for Harry Brook, which is interesting. So they missed out on Harry Brook. So that if they did get Harry Brook, that would have been very interesting. Although apparently he sucks, so maybe not. I don't know, but yeah, RCB probably a better franchise than Sunrisers. So.
I was reading a couple of articles today, actually, just discussing this sort of stuff, and saw one guy say his report on Dinesh Karthik was. He's actually a very good commentator, so he should stick to that next year and retire from IPL. So I thought that was he's giving him a compliment, but he's really telling him to turn his back on some cash and retire. It's probably Harry Brook, just in terms. Well, it's Sam Curran, obviously. We'll get to that, but it's probably Harry Brook, just in terms of how, like, the potential that was there to have a huge tournament. just because he was so sky high going into it, so you just thought maybe he'd just ride that momentum and sort of have a massive tournament. So, and he showed a little bit of it to get 100, obviously. Showed a bit of it there, but then obviously pretty disappointing other than that. So it just feels like a bit of an opportunity loss where he could have really burst on the scene. Like, he had already obviously done it in the test, but then really cracked that Indian market for him. I mean, hard to call any of these guys losers when they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars for a couple of months of Girk, but in terms of performance, it would have been nice to see him have a big tournament.
I'd probably,
we'll have it,
probably, I just find it, probably the loser is Sunrisers, because they already had Markram, they already had Klaasen, and they had Glenn Phillips in that middle order, and they let go of Kane Williams for the top order. They let go of David Warner. They let go of Rashid Khan. And then for some reason they spent all that money on another middle order player that they weren't even sure if he could play spin, and he can't. So they moved around the order. And obviously he's got talent, but it's just an odd purchase for me. Like, you could spend that money a lot better. Like, that's almost a third of your, a sixth of your like salary cap right there on a punt like that. So
I'd love to get an honest chat with like a GM and be like, how much of that auction room is a dick swinging contest versus like an actual like, we really need Harry Brook versus like, I'm head of this massive Indian family, I want Harry Brook over these other guys.
Is it owners making the shots, or is it like, or is it the guys that they employ?
Especially when these bidding wars are going into the well into the millions for guys unproven. It'd be very interesting to see how much of it is these owners being like, we have to get this guy, versus like, this guy is going to make our roster unbelievable.
Well, how does Conway only go for 200,000, and then you can just spend all this money? I mean, Harry Brook I can see it, but there's some other ones where I don't get it.
I mean, we've all.
I always don't understand when it's like test players getting the big dollars.
Yeah, like Kyle Jameson.
Kyle had that. Like, it's like a big dollar value on not even the format that you're buying them for. So it's always quite interesting.
And I mean, I think if anyone's got experience with Trade Me and getting into bidding wars, I think we all know how it happens. I mean,
it's
very annoying.
To shit your player to your crom.
You place a bid and then you see, buddy, you've been outbid. It's just, it gets you. And then you think, right, I'm walking away. And then you think, and I'm sure this happens because a real human is like, well, am I really going to let this player go for 50 grand when I'm spending 2 million? I might as well bid an extra 50 grand. Suddenly you've spent an extra 500 grand. Like, it just gets away on you, these things.
Yeah. And then they throw shipping in on top and you cook.
Don't get me started on shipping at the moment.
And then one guy does well in one World Cup, and everyone wants him for 3.7 million. Sam Curran. I will say, in fairness, he's only 24, which I didn't realise. So
he's been playing cricket.
If we're
for
talking,
a long time.
it feels like a long time, because we're talking about like Shiv McGill being the next big thing at 23, and Sam Curran's only 24. It's not
washed up by your standards.
I just don't see it with the ball. I just do not see it at all. Like, with the bat, it's got. I think he's always going to be a handy all rounder. He can strike it down the bottom of the order, but as like a front line bowler, I'm never going to see it, because all it was in the World Cup was big boundaries, and he's a smart bowler, but it was you'd have to have so many like raw talents to get away with that in the IPL. Like, you need to be quick, you need to be tall, get that bounce, and he's neither of those things. So he's relying a lot on like cutters. He's got to be so accurate, and at its core, Sam Curran is my height, which is short as fuck, and he bowls at about 125 to 130k. And I don't know, what's the ceiling on that, if you know what I mean?
I mean, that's...
Especially if it's not going to swing.
I'd love to get Curtis Day to clip that out, because it's a hell of a monologue from Munter there, and it's a victory lap he deserves to take, because we're ahead of this when everyone was going gaga about him at the World Cup, and obviously you can't take that World Cup off him. He adapted to the conditions better than anyone else there and got his reward, but you did see it coming that it wouldn't be the same everywhere else. Obviously, again, we said it before, it's hard to see him as a loser when he's checking his bank account right now.
Loser's so strong, eh?
I think if he's a loser, then I'd hate to think I am. It would. I tell you what, it'd be very interesting though to be him as that bidding's going up, and because the human side of him must be thinking, Jesus, what when you're getting paid that much, what can you even deliver that outside of winning it and being man of the tournament? That's going to be oh yeah, he was worth it. There's basically you're on a hiding to nothing there, aren't you? So it'd be interesting to know sort of how much he felt that pressure, because I'm sure he did at times. But yeah, when you're getting paid that much, you've basically got to be top 1 or 2 players at the tournament, lead your team to the finals. It's that cutthroat, really.
A person at the other end of the spectrum, and we'll flip-flop a little bit to the winners because we didn't sort of touch on him, because there's the comparison between him and a Cam Green, who went for 3.5 mil, and I had him in even though he's had that massive price tag, you might think that all he's sort of done is sort of justify the price tag, which is sort of fair. And I don't know if I'm being biased because I like Cam Green or not. Maybe I am, but to deal with the pressure of that price tag, like you're talking about Lugsy, and he hasn't played a lot of T20 cricket, I think just shows this he's special.
Yeah, 100%. And as you said, unless you're a Crawley, your price tag actually probably matters. Next year, Curran's not going for that at the auction. I think you've got that really bidding war just starts from random things, and there'll probably be some buyer's regret, I'd say.
Anyone else? Actually, one person I will touch on is Rohit Sharma. Now, I still think he's probably worth that 3.2 million just because of legacy stuff and what he's done for the franchise and what he's like as a leader. But these numbers, 332 runs at 20, and he's the captain of the Indian T20 side. I do think that we talked about it the other pod, but it's getting to the point where he can't open the batting for India over all these young kids like Jay Sawal and Gill, Gaikwad. These are freak of natures, and I think the game's just moved past Rohit Sharma. Not 50 over cricket, I think he's probably the best opener ever, maybe. I think he probably play a little bit longer, but at T20 cricket, I just don't see anymore.
Yeah, definitely starting to feel like time. And I think it's the niggly thing of him being captain, isn't it? Is you can't have that awkward conversation as easily. And you struggle to you've been a captain this. I suppose there's no T20 World Cup this year, is there? So you could probably just
next year
maybe ease the reins in, see if he wants to, maybe call it a day after the World Cup if they win it, sort of thing. Go out on top of the international game, and then probably still cash $2 million a year as a service to the fans, like Dhoni's done with Mumbai for a few years.
Imagine he comes out and says that as well, and the fans sort of go, no, you're actually all good. You can retire. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Look, they were going to give me $1 million, but I thought I'd do 2 just to keep it happy.
That Jay Sawal, he's 21, is he?
Yeah, he averages 80 in first-class cricket.
Yeah, that's dangerously high, and that's dangerously young. So, him and Gill could potentially open for... as cricket changes, everything changes, but they could open for the next 8 to 10 years.
Well, he's gone to the World Test Championship as standby, so he's definitely in the mix.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
At 21. Okay, I was doing fuck all at 21. I'll give you the tip.
I'm doing fuck all at 32. I'll let you know. 33, Jesus.
33. Yeah, 33.
not
Right,
good.
should we do our picks, boys? Should we do our picks?
Yeah.
Right, today's episode brought to you by Pyranha Grip Socks, the non-slip grip technology designed to minimise slipping in your shoe and maximise output. Designed and tested right here in New Zealand by professional athletes. The choice of socks for several black caps and white ferns. Performance, quality and style. Grab yourself a pair of Pyranha's latest range using the code TMC20 to get 20% off today. Boys, a side that have performed, have plenty of quality and probably have the best style in the game right now is the England Test team. While everyone is getting excited for the Ashes coming up, Stark and Stuart Broad are stirring the pot as they do. England do have themselves a test match, but it's 4 days against Ireland, figure that. Before we make some predictions for that game and the NBA Finals, our current records are, myself, I'm at 4-2, Lugsy 2-5, and unfortunately Jacko, a big donut, 0-5.
We're still there.
How are we getting off? It's impressive. It's impressive.
Surely just England to win here.
Yeah. Look, I thought about that, but then you know what? Ireland would win it if I did that. Look, there's only one way out of a hole, and that's keep punting. So, just if the viewers want to keep fading me, that'll be brilliant. But I'm going to stick to a prop bet till I hit one. And this is just some visceral stuff. I'm going Mark Wood, top wicket taker.
Wow.
I think Anderson, Robinson, Broad.
Is he definitely playing?
I don't know.
Yeah, Joff Arch, top wicket taker.
Yeah,
He's definitely in the squad, eh?
Yeah, give me Steve Harmison, first ball wide. No, I'll go Wood is in the squad. I've checked that. If he doesn't play, give me Ollie Robinson.
I like the Robinson one.
I'll stick with prop bets till I die. But yeah, I just reckon Wood too big, too fast for Ireland. They've seen Dibbly Dobbly's bowling swing, but they've never faced Mark Wood.
Don't mind.
I like it. Lugsy, where are you heading?
Well, I actually didn't prepare here, Matthew, because I thought I just went along with the gag of Crawley failing.
I did send you a couple of options along those lines.
Yeah. I don't want to fully jump on the Crawley bandwagon, but is Ruder playing? Joe Root?
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go. I mean, it sounds a bit obvious, but I'll go him to top scorer. I think he'll just pick a top scorer in the first innings if that's an option.
I think it's an option.
Yeah, I think he'll just. I don't know. I just feel like he'll show real class against a pretty poor Ireland team. Probably get a pretty quick 127.
It's paying $3.25. Just quietly, I will sort of
I'll take
have
that.
a look. They've got Zak Crawley here paying $6 for top run scorer. That is better odds than Ben Stokes and Johnny Bairstow, the man that made 600s in 6 months last year. What the fuck?
Bairstow slipped on the golf course, mate, so he's no good.
Holy. Okay, so obviously I'm taking the under on Crawley, which is set at 25.5 runs.
Cash in.
Honestly, that under could be like 12.5, and I'd take under. Honestly, it's going. If it nips around a fucking centimetre, he's in all sorts of trouble. The slower the bowling, the better.
How many balls would be too low for you to take? Like, this is survival.
How many balls?
Yeah, like under 17 pills.
I was thinking 15, so I'll take the under.
Yeah.
Watch him get 100.
I wonder if there'd be like a chances given for him as well, because I'd give it over 2.5 per test.
Well, I don't understand why he just drives every ball. Like literally every ball. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It's got no chance against Australia.
Quite possibly. Yeah, that's almost wouldn't be the greatest thing for England, would it? Real nice ton against the Irish, probably dropped 6 times.
Yeah.
Then the Aussies just licking their lips.
Right, should we chuck in some extra bets? You guys got any? I've got one here for the NBA Finals. Obviously, the Zombie Heat got up against the Celtics in Game 7 after losing 3 in a row. So they're going to play the Nuggets in a couple of days. And I've just got the Nuggets to smash the Heat in that first game. The over's 8.5, smashing that over. Nuggets haven't lost at home all playoffs. They're good. Heat must be tired. They've got to be so tired.
Yeah. Is the point star only 8.5?
It's quite low, eh?
It was like
it's got to be Nuggets.
Game 3 of the Celtics, when the Celtics were down 2-0, they were favoured by 9.5. You're telling me that the side's only favoured by 8.5?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I would put that I would put it at probably like 12.5 to 13, maybe.
We could be unanimous on this. Get smashed.
Yeah, those Celtics lines were poor, but Nuggets win Game 1, I think, and 8.5 feels like a lot. I tell you what I don't mind for a future is a sprinkle on Jamal Murray, Finals MVP.
Wow, that will not happen, but that's it.
Have you seen his stats?
There's no way.
He's like the first player ever to average 90, 80 and 50, shooting at like 45%.
But as we're talking about Jokic,
this is just Great White Hope.
This is just Embiid. This is Embiid slander.
If we're going outside of the Gurk and you're taking Denver, what I will do is I will go State of Origin Game 1 tomorrow night. James Tedesco has been dangerously poor for my Chooks, but he is our captain at New South Wales, and guys like him tend to step up for Origin, so I'll sprinkle him first. I'll just say to score a try, James Tedesco, and why not go man of the match, James Tedesco, expecting huge things.
Yeah, I like it. I like that. I like that a lot. Snack draft, should we do, boys?
Yep, sounds good.
This week, it is things you consume on the day of a cricket game. Okay, so we actually thought we would, do something cricket related for once on a cricket podcast. So this is like from the time you wake up to the time you fall asleep, at whatever time you choose to fall asleep. Any other stipulations we need for this day? Or we'll just go and roll.
I think we sort of take it as it comes.
Yeah, well, I feel like we'll know. Like, throw a flag if you need.
Yeah.
But, I feel like we'll know. Like, it'll just feel a bit wrong.
Yeah. Are we just night and day at the end of a big night out after a win? Are they going to go, or are they...
I mean, you could take him. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's part of it. Like, it's
all part of
it. You're still awake.
It's your perfect day.
It's part of the day. Okay, so let's do our lottery. So, hang on a second. There we go. You guys see that all right?
Yeah.
Righto, let's give us a wee spin. So the odds are I came last time, and then we had Jacko obviously won the last one, and Lugsy coming in the 2. So you're at 33, I'm at 50, and Jacko at the 17. So righto, let's spin away for the first pick of the Cricket Day snack draft. It is hold... Because a crucial, I will take that Munter with the victory, with the 1. I will take that. That feels like getting Wembanyama. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
With the second pick, it is
that's Lugsy.
Lugsy with this. Okay, so no real surprises in the draft.
No one trading down here. We're sweet with that.
No, not at the moment. So, I think for me, there's one clear number 1. Like I said, it's Wembanyama, it's LeBron James, it's Zion Williamson. It's a post-match beer in a game of cricket. There is simply nothing better. Obviously, if you won, that's great. If you made runs, doesn't matter if the team won. If it's like a beer after winning a trophy, it's even better. But the post-match beer it's why you play the game, isn't it? It's the only reason that you keep coming around.
Yeah, look, it was number one on my board.
It's huge. Had to go one.
I didn't want to sort of. I'm glad you almost got it because I didn't want to seem like an alcoholic here, but it's almost the other stuff you think like if I didn't have it, all the other stuff you're like, there's probably substitutes where you're like, this will work well enough. The post-match beer sort of can't be replicated.
No,
not at all. And I mean, for whatever reason, just a hard day with your mates, topped off with a beer. There's nothing better.
Goes to the head real quick as well.
Shit.
Like really quick. Like you're dehydrated from the day. Like you never have enough water. It just goes down that quick.
I've had some of my absolute worst performances at the cricket club. Just not factoring in anything. Just realising I've spent 50 days in the dirt. I mean, 50 hours. Jeez, 50 days. What a time. 50 hours in the dirt, and then followed by a beer before anything happens, and suddenly you sort of can't see, and it's been a half hour in the changing rooms. Moving along. This sucks because Jacko's going to get the next two and take probably a heap off the board, which is going to gut.
Just two.
Yeah, but like I feel like he'll get a couple of goodies. I feel like this may surprise, but I'm gonna pivot to lunch, and I'm gonna go the sandwich. I just think
we club sandwich.
Like if occasionally a club puts on a spread and they've got a wee Subway like catering set up, and you get to pick a couple of different wee subs, that is perfection. But like a good chicken sandwich with some fresh bread to have at your lunch, it can be real tasty without feeling too bad or too heavy. I think it's just the perfect cricket lunch, to be honest.
Yeah. It feels like you can eat a lot of them and feel like you're healthy.
Yeah.
Even though you've just given away about 17 club sandwiches that are homemade.
Yeah.
But I love those club sandwiches. I really do. They're so good.
Yeah.
Like we homemade ones, just brilliant.
They're perfect. If you sort of haven't been organised, you can always run to the dairy. You'll find most have at least a wee sandwich option for you. Can get them down quite easily if you're batting. Not too heavy, as I say, if you're in the dirt. So I think a pretty perfect lunch. Yeah,
100%. And this, so I'll go here. I've got 3 and 4. I'm going to go the drinks break Raro.
Yeah, that was on my board. That's a great pick.
Yeah, because I mean, you could have gone a few drinks options there, but I just think, you've been out there for 17 or 25, depending on the day. It's hot, and that Raro comes out. When the mixture's right and it's cold, it just hits like nothing else. There's no other drink that replicates the drinks break Raro. So I'll get that there at 1, and then I'll go for my lunch option here as well. And there are 2 big ones here I felt, but just nipping down to get a wee 8-pack of sushi. And a rice ball for tea. I just feel like it's so good. You can't go wrong with it. I feel like I can have an 8-pack and go out and bowl. Sometimes a foot long just sits a bit heavy in the stomach if you've got overs to bowl. But yeah, the sushi, just a rock solid lunch option for a day of cricket.
Now you took a wee shot at my Subway, so I'm going to have to bite back before we shot at your sushi. Like, you're going to have to make sure it is good and fresh, though. You don't want to get a sushi that's been sitting there since 7 a.m. The chicken's starting to get a touch warm, and you're starting to feel a touch groggy.
A touch salmonella.
It's a tough afternoon in the dirt. Nice.
Thanks,
Lugsy, what are you running?
Well, I'm very happy to still have this on the board, and look, I don't disagree. Number 1, post match, grab a beer, but I mean, my love for this drinks is obviously well known. But if you can have a hot as hell day, run off the field, and be greeted with a can of gold, I'll take that every time. Sometimes I'll have a Coke before I go straight into a beer. So. I just think a can of Coke post a game of cricket is just exceptional.
Yeah.
Especially, obviously, you've got your guys that won't have a beer as well.
Yeah, no, it's a good option if you're driving, or obviously you don't have that problem, Lugsy, but that sort of thing. But it's a good option. It's a good option. Okay, I'm going to go to your drinks breaks. You've spent a few overs in the dirt. You're starting to get a bit tired. Water, Raro's not quite cutting the mustard. You need a little bit of a rush. And out comes the bag of lollies.
Oh,
yeah. It's an absolute saviour. Just gives you enough energy to get through the next 25 overs before you put your feet up, get your golden duck and move on. So I'm going to go lollies at a drink spray.
Pretty good. Can't argue.
Yeah.
So it's me again, eh? There's a couple I would have liked to see. This is very difficult. Another drink. Okay, I'm going to go before the game now. And there is nothing better than going to your cafe with the boys before you're due to meet and just getting a nice wee cooked breakfast. It is a perfect way to start the day. Bacon and eggs, eggs Benny, whatever tickles your fancy. It just feels like it's just going to fill you up ready for that day. So I'll go cook breakfast.
How do you go there, Jacko? Is cooked breakfast too much for a bowler, or because bowling and batting probably a wee bit slightly different, or do you go that option as well?
Yeah,
talk to us.
Nah, see, I'll go something a lot lighter. Sometimes I won't eat pre the toss just to see what we're doing, or maybe like a smoothie option. Still something on the board that I do go quite regularly, but we'll wait to see what your pick is before I delve into that.
I'm at two options. And I'm probably gonna, because I'm sticking to actually things I've drafted in the past a bit here, and I'm probably going to go again. I'm going to go that sort of drinks break route as well. You run off, you do your toilet break, you look in your gear, you look in the gear bag, and you've got a wee you've got a muesli bar or bumper, but some sort of bar like that. Just
you're just playing the
I just think this is why I love cricket, because I got to eat all my favourite food.
The muesli
you can't beat a muesli bar at the 25 over break, can you?
No.
Unless you get lollies.
Not at all.
Yeah, I can't throw off. I won't throw a flag on lollies. Yeah, see, I mean, if I could get a not a full bumper bar, obviously, but now that these bumper sticks are around, one of those at 25 overs.
Got a bit more substance to it. Sort of like a bumper bar though. Like it's going to fill you up for a bit longer, isn't it?
Yeah,
so that's a good option.
Look, if I could get a snack wee bumper bar and two snakes, give me that.
Yeah,
maybe with some Raro for it.
Beautiful. Jacko, what are you rounding out your squad with?
There's a lot on the board. Just question, are we...
It's never good.
Are we vetoing trophy beers? Like a beer out of the trophy?
That's got to be vetoed, I reckon.
I feel like that's
too close.
I feel like I've kind of covered that with the beer, like it's a post-match beer.
Imagine giving your beer, but you're not allowed it out of the trophy. That's rough.
Yeah. Well, you only win. Yeah, I suppose you can have heaps of after-match beers, but not many trophy beers. So I won't go that. I'll go. I was going to go your morning coffee or a cheese scone here, but I will zag a touch, and this is probably for your Dunedin listeners, your Canterbury listeners, those sort of cold early and end of season games. But it's just a wee cup of tea on the sideline from the.
They might resonate with the English listeners as well.
And the English too. Just a cold day. The bowlers, you're not doing anything for hopefully at least 20 overs. 5 overs in, someone just goes, cuppa, ? And the hand goes straight up. Milk and none. Thanks for coming. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good option.
Hey, what,
some good squads there.
Jacko's boys might be a bit hungry, but they're going to be well hydrated.
Yeah, hold on. We've had sushi.
He's got sushi.
Well, Munter's had a big breakfast. Doesn't need food for the rest of the day. A few lollies at drinks. No,
I'm just cooked beef. It's not our whole menu. Like, that's not,
Opening bowls at the top of his mark just cooled over. Just give me a couple of minutes here, sir.
am I the only one here having like a wee eggs Benny like before a game of cricket?
Wee eggs Benny sounds alright. Yeah.
Cooked breakfast makes it sound like the full English, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, fair enough. Right, should we wrap this up before Jacko's phone dies?
Sorry, boys.
No, that's right. We'll finish anyway. So that is us for another week, team. Thank you to Pyranha. Thanks to Lugsy and Jacko. Thank you to the listeners. Like and subscribe, rate and review. And thank you to CSK for proving I don't know anything and taking Conway away from New Zealand for good. We'll see you next week.